Good morning, students. We are in chapter 10, Organisms and Population. In the last class, we have discussed about the major abiotic components. In the major abiotic components, we have discussed about the temperature, adaptations to temperature, light, water, and the essential properties of water. So, in today's class, we are going to see another one abiotic factor, that is the soil. So, soil is a mixture of organic matter. So, what is organic matter? The decomposed form of the plants and the animals are called as the organic matter. Minerals, gases, liquids and organisms that together support life. So, soil is a mixture of organic matter, minerals, gases, liquids and organisms that together supports life. The soil zone is known as pedosphere. So, the zone in which the soil is present is called as the pedosphere. So, pedosphere means it is the soil zone. And soil is formed from rocks which are the parent material of soil. So, how the soil is formed means soil is formed from the rocks. So, due to some natural calamities, the rocks broken down into small pieces and then it is finally converted into soil. So, that is called as weathering. So, soil is formed from rocks which are the parent materials of soil by weathering and is called as embryonic soil. So, the other name for embryonic soil is pedogenesis. Now, we will see the major functions. There are 4 major functions of soil. One is the soil acts as a medium for plant growth. So, soil acts as a medium for the plant growth because plants grow in the soil. So, soil forms a medium for the plant growth and means for water storage and purification. So, the soil also stores the water and also it filters that is impure water. So, if you take the rainwater, so the rainwater cross through many layers of the soil and finally it gets filters and transformed into pure water. So, that is called as purification. And modifiers of Earth's atmosphere. Okay. So, it is the soil is a modifier of the Earth's atmosphere. And the soil also forms habitat, that is, it also supports many living organisms. It forms as a habitat for many organisms which in turn modify the soil. So, many organisms such as the earthworms and many other organisms live in the soil. So, it forms as a habitat for many organisms. And if you take the soil, it is formed of many horizontal layers called as soil profile. So, the soil is formed of many horizontal layers, otherwise there are many layers. It is called as the soil profile. First, we will see the properties of soil. So, what are the properties of soil means? Texture of soil. So, the texture of soil is determined by the size of the soil particles. Okay. So, the types of soils include, there are different types of soil such as sand, silt and clay on the basis of the size differences. So, based on their size differences, there are different types of soil such as sand, silt and clay. So, mainly the texture of the soil is determined by the size of the soil particles. Next is porosity. What is mean by porosity means the space between soil particles. So, the space in between the soil particles is called as porosity. In a given volume of soil are called as pore spaces. So, what do you mean by pore spaces means the space between the soil particles is called as the pore spaces. And porosity means the space present between the soil particles in a given volume of soil are called as pore spaces. The percentage of soil volume occupied by pore space or by the interstitial spaces is called as porosity of the soil. So, what is porosity of the soil means the percentage of soil volume which is occupied by the pore space or by the interstitial spaces is called as the porosity of the soil. Next is permeability of soil. So, what is permeability of soil means the characteristics of soil that determines the movement of water through pore spaces is known as soil permeability. So, soil has the water holding capacity. How it has the water holding capacity means water moves through the pore spaces in the soil. So, that is called as the permeability. Soil permeability is directly depend on the pore size. So the permeability of soil depends upon the pore size. If the pore size are more means then the water holding capacity also will be more of the soil. Water holding capacity of the soil is inversely depend upon the soil porosity. So that is called as the permeability of the soil. Next we will see the soil temperature. Soil gets its heat energy from the solar radiation. So the soil gets heated up because of the radiations which are coming from the sun, decomposing organic matter and heat from the interior of the earth. So how the soil gets warm up or how the soil gets heated up means, one is from the rays of the sun, that is solar radiation, and next is decomposing organic matter. It also increases the temperature of the soil, and also the temperature gets increased due to the interior of the earth. Soil temperature affects the germination of seeds, growth of roots and biological activity of the soil. So the soil temperature mainly affects the germination of the seeds and growth of roots and also the biological activity of the soil. Biological activity of the soil means inhabiting micro and macro organisms. So the micro and macro organisms also depends upon the soil temperature. Next we'll see about the soil water. So in soil, water is not only important as a solvent and transporting agent but also maintains the soil texture, arrangement and compactness of the soil particles, making soil habitable for plants and animals. So soil water, the water which is present in soil is called as the soil water. So soil water is very, very important. It is not only important as a solvent and transporting agent, it also maintains the soil texture, arrangement and compactness of the soil particles. That is, it mainly binds the soil particles, making soil suitable for the inhabitants of plants and animals. So this is about the properties of soil. So far we have discussed about the major functions of the soil and also the different properties of the soil. Next we'll see about the another one, abiotic factor. So the another one abiotic factor is the wind. So wind is it is also a energy. So wind is the natural movement of air of any velocity from a particular direction. So wind is the natural movement of air. So what is wind means? It is the natural movement of air of any velocity from a particular direction. The two main causes are differential. That is, the two main causes for wind is the differential heating between the equator and the poles and the rotation of the planet, that is Coriolis effect. So the main causes of wind is the differential heating between the equator and the poles and the rotation of the planet, and this term is called as Coriolis effect. And wind helps to transport the pollen grains. So the pollen grains are transferred from one flower to another flower because of the wind, and also the seeds are also dispersed from one place to another place through the wind, and it also helps in the flight of the birds. And while it is the source of wind energy, so wind is the source of wind energy, it also causes erosion. So if you take the wind blows very heavily means it also results in soil erosion. Wind speed is measured with an instrument called as anemometer. So anemometer is an instrument which is used to measure the speed of the wind. Next we will see the humidity. So what is humidity in Tamil? காற்றில் உள்ள ஈரப்பதம். So that is called as the humidity. So moisture in the form of invisible vapor in the atmosphere is called as humidity. So the moisture which is present in the atmosphere is in the form of vapor. It is called as the humidity, which is generally expressed in terms of absolute humidity. So humidity is expressed in three forms or three terms, that is absolute humidity, relative humidity or specific humidity. First of all, we'll see the absolute humidity. So what is absolute humidity means? It is the total mass of water vapor present in the given volume of or mass of air. So it is the total. Absolute humidity means it is the total mass of water vapor which is present in the given volume or mass of air. And it does not take the temperature into consideration. Next is the relative humidity. So what is relative humidity means? It is the amount of water vapor present in air, and it is expressed as a percentage of the amount needed for saturation at the same temperature. So what is relative humidity means? It is the amount of water vapor which is present in air, and it is expressed as a percentage of amount needed for saturation at the same temperature. And the relative humidity is expressed as a percentage. That is, a high percentage means that the air water mixture is more humid at a given temperature. And the instrument which is used to measure the humidity is called as hygrometer. So hygrometer means it is an instrument which is used to measure the humidity of the atmosphere. Next we will see about the altitude. So what is altitude? That is, this factor is mainly the elevation or the gradient, and it affects temperature and precipitation in an ecosystem or biome. So altitude means it is the elevation. So this altitude mainly affects the temperature and also precipitation. Precipitation means rain in an ecosystem or biome. And altitude increases the, for example, as altitude increases, temperature and density of oxygen decreases. So when the altitude increases, automatically the temperature gets decreased, and also the density of oxygen also will get decreased. So you, for example, if you go to any hill station, you can able to see the temperature is very low, and also we feel little suffocation, isn't it? Because due to the demand of oxygen, that is, the density of oxygen decreases. So higher altitude usually receive snow instead of rain because of the lower temperature. So when the height increases, automatically the temperature gets decreases, and also the density of oxygen also decreases. So higher altitudes usually receive snow. Usually if you take the hill station, they will receive more snow than rain because of the low temperature. Next we'll come to know about another one term, acclimatization. That is, animals are known to modify the response to environmental changes, stress, in reasonably short time span. So this is called as acclimatization. So what is acclimatization means? The animals are known to modify the response. For example, the animals tend to modify the response to environmental changes. So the changes in the environment is called as stress. So animals also respond to the change in the environmental conditions in short period of time, and this is known as acclimatization. And for example, it is observed when people who have moved from the plains to higher altitudes. So those who lived in the plains, when they shifted to higher altitudes. Otherwise we can say people living in the plain, when they shifted to any hill stations, they show enhanced RBC count. That is, they show increased RBC count in their blood within a few days of settling in their new habitat. So this helps them cope up with the lower atmospheric oxygen and higher oxygen demand. So what is the fact behind this means? So when people move from plains to hill station, the RBC count gets increased in their blood, because the red blood cells only carry the oxygen to different parts of our body. So when they move to hill station, automatically there will be oxygen demand. So the density of oxygen will be low. So in order to compensate that, the RBC will get increased, so that the increased RBC helps in the transport of oxygen more. So till this we conclude our topic. So go through the topic whatever we have seen today. Thank you.